Hi, Reddit. I never thought I'd be posting my life's drama here, but the last year has been a whirlwind. I'm 27F, and my boyfriend, Eric, 29M, is the kindest, most hardworking person I've ever met. We've been together for 3 years now. Eric is an architect and runs his own small but thriving firm. I work in marketing, and while I'm proud of my career, I'd be lying if I said Eric's success wasn't intimidating at times. Still, we've built a solid relationship based on mutual respect, or so I thought. Now, the other key player in this story is my sister, Jessica, 30F. Jessica has always been the golden child in our family. Growing up, she was the one with the straight A's, the beauty queen titles, and the endless list of accomplishments. I've never resented her for it, or at least I didn't think I did. But as we've gotten older, her competitive streak has turned toxic. This story is about how that toxicity spiraled out of control and nearly destroyed everything I cared about. Things started going downhill about 6 months ago when Eric and I got serious about moving in together. We'd been house hunting, and Eric insisted on paying the majority of the down payment. I'm not going to lie. The houses we were looking at were well beyond what I could afford alone. But Eric's financial situation made it possible, and he'd always been clear that he saw it as a long-term investment for both of us. When Jessica found out about this, she lost it. "You're letting him buy you a house? Are you kidding me, my name?" she said one evening when we were having dinner at our parents' place. "You're not even married yet, and you're already acting like a gold digger." I was stunned. Jessica had never been Eric's biggest fan, but this was a new low. I tried to explain that Eric and I had discussed it thoroughly and that I'd be contributing what I could, but she wouldn't let it go. "It's pathetic," she sneered. "You're just using him to live a lifestyle you could never afford on your own." I'll admit, her words stung. Deep down, I'd always been a little insecure about the financial disparity between Eric and me. But hearing Jessica's harsh judgment made me question everything. Was I really taking advantage of him? Or was Jessica projecting her own issues onto me? To understand Jessica's bitterness, you have to know a bit more about her. On the surface, she has it all: a high-paying corporate job, a luxurious apartment, and a flashy social life. But what she doesn't have is stability. Her last 2 relationships ended badly, and she's been vocal about how hard it is to find a man who isn't intimidated by her success. In hindsight, I think Jessica's accusations were less about me and more about her own insecurities. But at the time, I couldn't see that. All I knew was that my sister, someone I'd always looked up to, was trying to tear me down. The real drama began when Jessica decided to take her vendetta against me to the next level. Eric had been working on a big project for a prominent developer. It was a career-defining opportunity for him, and he'd been putting in long hours to make sure everything was perfect. One day, he mentioned that someone from the developer's office had reached out with concerns about his reputation. He was baffled, but didn't think much of it, at first. Then, the rumors started. A colleague told Eric that they'd heard he was under investigation for financial misconduct. It was completely baseless, but the mere suggestion was enough to cast doubt on his character. Eric was devastated. His firm's reputation was everything to him, and he couldn't understand why someone would try to sabotage him. It wasn't until weeks later that we discovered the truth. Jessica had been the one spreading the rumors. She'd posed as a former client and emailed the developer's office with false claims about Eric's business practices. When I confronted her, she didn't even deny it. "I was trying to protect you," she said, as if that justified her actions. "You deserve better than some shady architect who's only using you to look respectable." The final straw came during a family gathering. I'd been avoiding Jessica since the sabotage incident, but our parents insisted that we all sit down and talk things out. What was supposed to be a civil discussion quickly devolved into a shouting match. "You're jealous!" I yelled, finally saying what I'd been holding back for months. "You can't stand that I'm happy, so you're doing everything you can to ruin it." Jessica scoffed. "Happy? You're delusional. He'll drop you the second he realizes you're nothing but a liability." That's when Eric stepped in. He'd been quiet for most of the argument, but he couldn't stay silent any longer. "Jessica, I love your sister," he said, his voice calm but firm. "And nothing you say or do will change that. But you need to take a hard look at yourself and figure out why you're so determined to tear her down. This isn't normal." That confrontation was a turning point. Jessica stormed out and didn't speak to me for weeks. In the meantime, Eric and I worked to rebuild the damage she'd done to his reputation. We reached out to the developer directly, providing evidence to disprove the false claims. It wasn't easy, but eventually, the truth came out, and Eric's project was back on track. As for Jessica, she eventually reached out with an apology. It wasn't perfect, and I'm still wary of trusting her completely. But I've come to realize that her actions were rooted in pain and insecurity, not malice. Eric and I are stronger than ever. We moved into our new home a few months ago, and every day, I'm reminded of how lucky I am to have someone who believes in me, even when I doubt myself. This experience taught me a lot about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of setting boundaries, even with family. If you've made it this far, thanks for reading. I know family drama is never simple, and there are always two sides to every story. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't let someone else's negativity define your happiness. Life is too short to waste on jealousy and resentment. Choose love, choose kindness, and most importantly, choose yourself.